Good morning. Happy Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Happy Tuesday. So, how's everybody doing with money? When I say that, I mean, how are you doing with it emotionally and psychologically? I was flipping through Instagram while I was on hold yesterday, and a Grant Cardone video came on, and I haven't listened to him for a long time. So I threw on Grant Cardone and I started listening, and he was going through his list of 10 things about money, especially if you own a business. And what I love about Grant is I love the energy that he vibrates at. I mean, he really vibrates at this energy about, how to create outcomes. And again, he's all about money, okay? His stuff beyond that, I mean, he's a very good motivator, but he's a guy to listen to when it comes to that. And he has a lot of really interesting things. So like one of his things is that you should save, he tells all of his salespeople that you should save 40%. That's his theory to them. 40% goes to taxes. You should save 40% and then live on 20%. Now that's an amazing approach. Now, if you did that from the very beginning, you could do it. I mean, if from dollar one, you said, all right, I'm going to save 40%. But what are some of the ways that you could do that? I mean, what are some of the ways that you could get yourself to 40%? So I started thinking about that. If you have whole life insurance policies where it's not only life insurance, but it also is a forced savings, every time you pay monthly, then you're not only doing life insurance, but you're also creating a savings account. It's a very, very, very conservative way to invest. I mean, if you look back at the stock market over the last 8 years, you'd go, oh, why would you ever do that? But let's remember that the stock market from 2000 to 2008 did virtually nothing but stay the same or go down. So you can run into periods of 10, 15 years in the stock market where it doesn't do anything. The thing about these, what I started thinking about is things that would force you to do it every month. So, like one of the things I do is I pay myself rent, and then whole life insurance policies. If you had accounts where all of your gain was automatically reinvested. So you do this with retirement accounts, but if you also had regular accounts where they used to call them, I think, drips or something like that, where you got when you got dividends, dividend reinvestment accounts. When you got a dividend, the dividend already automatically got in and bought more stock. If you started setting up all kinds of little things this way, I don't know if you could get yourself to 40% because that's a very large number, but it would be a good way where quickly all of a sudden you're saving a lot more than you think. And obviously the earlier you start, the better. Jesse Crow just answered our question for us. Whole life insurance policy through a mutual company with a put rider. Most agents don't know how to write this. Oh, see more. We're going to learn more. Oh, it didn't click over. I like whole life insurance policies. I think that's a nice way to invest, especially if you're younger, especially if you're just getting started. I took a lot of my term policies and converted them over into whole policies. And what that did is it made it so now I pay every quarter, and those policies continue to gain. And again, it's a very conservative way to invest, but it's okay to have some of your investments be conservative ways to invest. There's a lot of investing things now where whenever you charge something, it rounds up the cents, and then that automatically gets invested. When you think about money, Grant is absolutely right that you have to pay yourself first, and a certain percentage should always go into investments that you don't touch. How you do that is your own way. I do a lot in real estate. And another thing that I do with my real estate company is the gains from that company are never touched. All of those gains go right back into the company. So every 3 months or so, I take a look and it's like, okay, There's money sitting in the account, from the rent checks and from the income checks that have come in. All right, I'm either buying another property or I'm paying down debt or I'm improving a property. I don't let the cash sit there. You're going to hear a lot of people say cash is trash. I agree with that. Whole life insurance versus term life insurance, by the way, the insurance agents will say this: term is for if you die, whole is for when you die. I love that. Term has no cash value whatsoever. It's only if you die, they pay it out. And it usually is only good for a period of time. Usually it's about 20 years. The good thing about term is you can get a large payout for not a lot of money. So, if you're in your 30s, you can get $100,000 to $500,000 of term life insurance for probably $500 a year. Jess, let me know if that sounds about right. Or Jesse, sorry. Let me know if that sounds about right. So you can get a large payout for not a lot of money. But at the end of the 20 years, that's it. If you haven't died, which hopefully you haven't, it's only for that crazy, event that happens to take care of your family. Whole, it costs more. So if you have a whole life insurance policy for $100,000 and you're in your 30s, that may cost you $500 a year or better just for the whole, but it's gaining value. So over your lifetime, not only do you have the life insurance, but the policy will actually gain value too. So the point of today is to think about money. Money is just as much of a mental game as any of the rest of this stuff. And it's also everything about setting your standards. First time I heard Tony Robbins say that you have the amount of money in your life that you demand that you have, I had a tough time believing that. I really went, Tony, I'm demanding to have more money in my life and I'm working like crazy. But as I got older and started getting better at this stuff, I realized that he's right. Just like your weight, just like your relationships, just like all of that, money is the same thing. Life will give you whatever you demand from it. And the amount of money in your life that you're making is what you are demanding that you make. It's what you have to have. Grant makes this point. He says, you pay 40% to the government, and that's probably a little bit high, but he goes, you pay 40% to the government. You figure out how to do that every year no matter what. So you should figure out how to pay yourself 40% and then live off of the rest. And the way to do that, he says, is to make more money. The point being, whatever becomes a must is what we figure out how to do. If all of a sudden the must in terms of losing weight was life or death, you would do it. If the must was getting up every morning and working, however many hours or whatever, you would figure out how to do it. Money is the same thing. The amount that you make is the amount that you insist that you must make. And if you do that, then your levels are going to go up. So if this area is still a challenge, and obviously with the economy the way that it is, for a lot of people it's a significant challenge, understand that concept. I know it's hard to grasp. It was very hard for me to grasp the first time that I heard it. But the amount of money that you make is the amount of money that you insist, that you must, that you demand that you will make. If you make a larger amount of money a must, you will figure out how to do it. And here's how you can understand, when you had a child, most of the time when we have a child, we're not in a financial position to have a child. But we figure out how to pay for it. If all of a sudden your rent doubled, you would figure out how to do it because you're not going to end up homeless. If all of a sudden this cell phone cost you $1,000 a month, you would figure out how to do it because nobody's going to go without having a cell phone. So that same approach can be applied to your top line to increase your income, and that allows you to do the rest of this stuff. The reason to save, because then over time you won't have to do that. If you saved 40%, it won't be long, and your income from your investments will be greater than your personal income, which is what you ultimately want. Then you can have your personal income be whatever you want. First time I heard that, I really struggled. But as I've grown older, I found out it's absolutely true. So I wanted to do a checkup on the wallet. It's the holidays. We're all spending money for the holidays. It's Christmas next week, which I can't even imagine. So drop in the box what that means to you guys. Drop in the box whether or not that resonates. Does that make sense, or does it not make sense? Because if it doesn't, let's talk about it more. But if it does, great, and we can go on to other stuff. But figure out ways that force you to save. Figure out ways where you have to put money away every month and it ends up going into savings. Do those little tricks all over the place, because the more that you do, the more that 10 years from now, you're going to look back and go, wow, I'm really glad I did that. Remember, 10 years, we're all going to arrive, all of us. It's a question of where. And let's make that an intent. Let's make that an intentional place that we decide to go, and not that we're in the boat with no oars, no paddles, and then we're going down the river towards the waterfall and we get 10 feet away from it and say, I wish I shoulda. I wish I woulda. We want to be the people that have the directed life. So that also means money. So direct your income towards savings. Pay yourself first. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. Thank you for watching. A lot of activity on here. I'm going to go through and read all this stuff. But thanks, everybody. Have a great day. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.